Welcome back to the channel. This is JH Off-Road. I'm Jordan. If this is your first time hitting one of my videos, hit like, hit subscribe. Really helps me out on the channel. Makes me feel like you guys actually watch and care what I'm putting out. If you saw the last video from the Nevada Wild 400, you saw that despite all the other stuff we did prior to that weekend, we did not race. Though the car does look like it was raced, the wind was so bad that everything's covered in dust. I have dust coming out of everywhere. Can't touch anything without getting covered in dust. So everything's back in the shop, unloaded, kind of cleaned up from the dust storm. 4-seat turbo car, a lot of issues. Not really a lot of issues. One primary issue that was found after we solved a mechanical failure. Ultimately, what took us out of the race was an electrical issue, which is going to require a full harness replacement on this car. But that is not what I'm doing today. What I'm doing today is I'm actually going to get the side panels off and pull the turbo. So the Sunday before we left for Hawthorne, we had a new turbo installed, fresh motor in, and the diaphragm in that turbo failed immediately. We're not sure why. So we're actually going to pull that turbo off, send it back to our friends at Bikeman Performance so they can open it up, diagnose the thing, and see exactly what happened. So that is what I'm going to work on right now, is getting the side panels off and get access to that turbo to be able to get it completely unbolted from the motor, get the mounts loose, and get that turbo out of the car. So naturally, something cool for video happens. And camera was right here, and I didn't push that little record button. What you just missed that I don't get to put in the video now because of that was I just went to war with a bolt. And then when I say war, I went to war. If you know anything about me, I hate welding. So when you see the welder out, stuff's getting serious. So one of the bolts that holds the exhaust header into the turbo wasn't actually cross-threaded. So I don't exactly know why. It was super, super tight in there. It was tight enough that even when I seated the Allen in super tight, there was no wiggle, no play. I went to turn on it. It just spun it around in there and stripped the bolt out. So what I just did to remove it was, first thing I did was I cut a slit in it with a grinder to try to get a flat bar in there and turn it. So then that didn't work. And I'm not sure where it went, but I welded a Allen in there and snapped that off. So then I resorted to, I don't know how well you can see it, but I ground flat edges in it and put a 12-millimeter wrench around it and welded the wrench to it. And with that 12-millimeter wrench welded to it and a cheater bar, I was able to break it free. And the threads actually look really good. All the threads in the turbo look good. So I have no idea why that bolt was so seated in there so good. I tried heat. I tried everything. For me to get the welder out is like an absolute last resort, because I'm the first to admit I'm not a great welder. I don't enjoy welding. I do it when I have to, and that was a have to moment. But since we're on the bench, and now that I got a mess going because I poured water all over everything to keep everything cool so I could touch it again, got the turbo off the four-seater. If you've never seen a turbo out of a Polaris RZR Turbo, that's what it looks like. And the part that failed on us at the last race was this guy right here. This is the diaphragm. And this uses a vacuum pressure, uses a vacuum. And then as you build pressure, as you build boost, it has what's called a wastegate. And that wastegate opens at a set crack pressure. And again, turn the camera a little better so you can see it here. So when you reach that certain crack pressure, this diaphragm releases under that pressure and opens the wastegate, which is right here in the turbo. So this is what failed initially on us. This is kind of what sent us down the rabbit hole to say, hey, we have a problem on the car. And that's what we changed out there first before we realized we were fighting something else. You know, we knew we were having a boost issue. We were having a wastegate issue because you can check the crack pressure on these cars with a gauge. And I can show you what that looks like. So still covered in dust from Hawthorne is our gauge to test crack pressure on the wastegate. And one thing that should happen when you check that crack pressure is you add pressure slowly and it builds pressure until the wastegate actuator moves and actually opens the wastegate. Well, when you do that, it's supposed to hold that pressure. With the gauge in line, you holding everything solid, it's supposed to hold pressure. How we knew we had an issue with that diaphragm was we'd pressure it up and it would lose that pressure we fed into it at the same rate we fed it in. So we were bleeding off crack pressure. So obviously you're not going to build very good boost or build any boost at all if you're cracking too soon. And then if you aren't cracking correctly or too late because it's bleeding off and not actually opening the wastegate, you're going to end up with what's called overboost, which can cause all kinds of problems with your motor. It can cause a lean condition, can cause all kinds of issues, can actually cause damage to the motor. So this diaphragm is actually off the pre-runner, and I have the failed diaphragm right here. For the sake of sending it back to Bikeman to have them go through it, I'm going to reattach their wastegate to this turbo so it goes back to them as we got it. So I'm going to do that now. So part of racing in any capacity, when you have multiple vehicles, is juggling all of the different projects, all the different prep. And each vehicle is a little different, even though you try to keep them all the same. It just doesn't always work out that way. So yesterday, or 5 minutes ago in the video, you saw the turbo come out of this car, the 4-seat car, and the plastic start to come off. This car right now is in full teardown mode, full rebuild mode, because of the electrical issue in the OEM harness. And to replace that OEM harness, it has to be completely stripped down to chassis. Thankfully, the motor, transmission, all that gets to stay in place, but everything else has to come off. Which, yes, that kind of sucks, but at the same time, we're going to use it to our advantage. We're going to use this time to completely hit reset on this car, rewire not only the factory harness, but redo all of the electronics, clean up previous wiring that's been abandoned from different things, and start fresh on the electrical system to prevent this kind of issue in the future. And while we're doing that, make some changes, make some adjustments to get better. In this game, the only way to learn is to fail. I mean, we change a part not because we want to, we change a part because it failed. And for myself, I want to know why that part failed. And it could be a $2,000 turbo, it could be a $9 spark plug or a $100 ignition coil. But I want to know why it failed. And that's how we learn, and that's how we get better. So that's what we're doing. We're taking all the information that we have learned over the last 3 or 4 years with this car, and we're hitting reset, which the ultimate goal is to make it better. You see and hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm going to bulletproof it." There's no such thing. You can't bulletproof these cars. Nothing's bulletproof. And if there's a company out there or a manufacturer out there or somebody out there that makes something that they claim is bulletproof, give it to us. Give it to any desert race team. We will make it fail. That's just the nature of the beast. So with that, I'm going to pivot now to the pre-runner and talk about what I'm doing to that. So this is Bill's Razor Pro XP pre-runner. You've seen it in a previous video when I installed a radio intercom, pumper, some seat harnesses, that kind of thing. Well, this car out at Hawthorne turned into a parts car. Yes, completely different chassis, but a lot of the components in engine, trans, turbo, electrical sensors, all of that are the same as the 2 race cars. So when we were trying to figure out what was going on with the race car, we were pulling stuff off this car to try. We were trying everything we could to make it stick and make it run. So this car got a little tortured out there. A lot of parts came off, a lot of plastics came off. So what I'm going to work on today is essentially prepping this car. It doesn't need as much prep as a race car, but we treat them all the same. We're not running this thing at race pace when we're pre-running, but it's still running the race course. It's still getting beat up. It's still getting abused. So I'm going to get this thing back together today, get it cleaned up, and make sure everything's good to go on it. So another really productive day in the shop. Got the pre-runner all put back together, dialed in. Just needs some basic maintenance, just needs oil change, that kind of thing. So super stoked I was able to get that knocked out today. And 2C turbo car is next on the list. As you guys saw, um, engine, transmission, turbo, everything checked, dialed, bolted back in, alignment done. Still got quite a bit of work to do in the 2-seat. Got all the little stuff that goes into reconnecting when you pull all that stuff apart. If you remember from previous video, race recap, the transmission had to come out of the 2-seat for losing reverse, which I don't remember if I talked about or not. If I did, it'll be next. But yeah, had Layla from Team Myers over today. She has been a huge help in helping with race prep, helping in the pit, and stepping up and really helping Bill and I out with the rugged radio support stuff. So I can't thank her enough. She's been instrumental in the last couple of weeks of just getting through this stuff and just being another set of hands to help get it done. You know, it takes a team, it takes an army to pull this stuff off. I know a lot of my videos, a lot of the time it's just me. But we have a really good group of people that step up and step in to help out when it's needed. So going to hammer hard back on this car tomorrow, and that'll be in just a second. So a lot of progress, a lot of chaos this week in the race shop. Got the 2-seat turbo car all put back together, fired and running. Just little things like body panels and stuff like that. And I'll start testing, shaking down this car just to verify that the issues we had at Stampede are what I diagnosed them to be. And that's resolved. My plan is to take a day and actually travel over to Prairie City and give it a proper shakedown on the short course in the same environment that it was raced in last, and where we'll be racing again in June. On the 4-seat car, we're slowly getting a plan together on what the next steps are for essentially rebuilding that car. It is going to get completely torn down. I've mentioned that. So now that the 2-seat's back together, going to shift focus back to that car and continue the teardown and continue sorting through what's going to be needed to do what we want to do on that car. So with that, I just want to take a moment and first off, thank all of you for tuning into my videos. My ultimate goal is to just show behind the scenes of what goes on to race these cars, prep these cars, and show the good and the bad. You know, Instagram and social media, everybody only wants to post all the good stuff. And to race these cars and to have the issues, to find the issues and fix the issues and hope another issue doesn't appear, that's the goal. And that's what I want to share with everybody and what it takes to do that. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. It motivates me to create more content and get better at it. I'm by no means great at first off, remembering to turn the camera on. Second, remembering that the camera's on and taking a minute to explain what I'm doing and explain what I found and explain what's going on. I just put it on time lapse and go. So please subscribe, like this video. If you would like to, give me a follow on social media channels. I'll post those links in the description. And as always, everybody stay safe, have fun. I'll see you in the next one.